it's still stunning to really think like, yo, Astroworld was 2018 and like we're still waiting on pins and needles, bro,
for the next
for Utopia to come out. So I just think it's like a little bit of testament to his like his popularity, but also his like fan base.
Yes.
That he is able to go away for 5 years and for Utopia to still be like a show-stopping album that we think is gonna go number one.
Good afternoon, beautiful people. This is another episode of Album Mode. We review a new album every single week. We look at the lyrics, the production, the overall aesthetic of the album, and how that album fits into the context of that artist's career. For all our beautiful people on YouTube, make sure you like this video, share this video. Let us know in the comments how you feel about this album that we're going to be reviewing. My name is Adriel Smiley, a.k.a. AdrielSmiley.com, a.k.a. Adriel Smiley Official, a.k.a. The Godfather. We're here with His Royal Highness, King Grant.
What's happening, people? We're back. We're back, and he's back. Travis Scott bringing us into the place that we can call Utopia. It's been five long-ass years. 2018 is when Astroworld came out, and now he's provided us with another record. Finally, we have Utopia in our hands. Well, not in our hands, but in our presence.
Almost.
Ooh, almost.
Almost.
Ooh, almost. That's an almost for you. Okay, I'm excited to come near the end of the pod where we're talking about who's getting the final. So, how did you feel? I mean, how do you feel? I know you're a Travis Scott guy.
Yes.
Low-key Travis Scott person.
No, not low-key.
I do think you're low-key. I think people who love Travis Scott are much more high-key about their love about it.
Well, I'm a responsible adult. I'm not a stan. I'm not a stan like that of any person.
Okay.
When I like someone, I'm respectful and moderate and composed.
Oh, okay.
But no, I'm a huge Travis Scott fan. Travis Scott fan. You're right.
You brought Biebs in the Trap. Not even Rodeo.
Yep.
Right. I brought Astroworld.
Yep. It's been 5 years. You're right. 2018 was the last album, Astroworld.
Yeah.
Highly acclaimed studio album. That was like, I think what Travis Scott was creating in 2018, the culmination was that effect of having the whole internet being listening to your music. We mentioned Drake as being someone who's like that, where whenever Drake drops something, everyone rushes to it. Yep. And there are very few artists that have that effect. And we talk about the big three, Kendrick and J. Cole also having that effect. Travis Scott with Astroworld really put himself in that group of like, when he drops something, everyone's going to rush to it. So what were your expectations, I guess, of this? Because Astroworld is basically as big a third album as you can have.
Yeah. I think leading up to Utopia, first of all, I didn't think that it was coming out.
Didn't believe it.
I didn't believe it just because it had been 5 years since Astroworld. Remember, I want everybody to remember, Astroworld came out in 2018, people. Just remember the world.
Yep.
In 2018, okay? It was August 3rd, 2018, so it's almost been 5 years to the day.
Oh, I remember those times.
Okay. And I was just like, everybody, I think for a couple years after that, people were talking about, Utopia. Like, there's going to be another one. Utopia. And then the tragic, accident happened. And then basically all Travis Scott related things stopped.
Yeah.
Right? Just everything just stopped. So when we were talking about Utopia again this year, I was like, I guess like maybe it's gonna happen. Like,
you didn't believe,
right? I was skeptical, extremely. So when it actually was like coming up to the date of its release, first of all, did you even know the day concretely though? Did you know it concretely? Like, did you?
Well, when he announced it on his Instagram, that was when I first knew.
Yeah.
But before that, it was kind of a rumor because let's go back in time a little bit. 2 years ago, 2021, when that accident happened. On November 5th, people actually don't forget this. He dropped 2 singles on that exact day. And so that was the start of what Utopia was going to be. That was going to be the rollout to Utopia. Now, of course, the accident happened. But Escape Plan and Mafia both didn't end up on this project, but that was kind of the timeline. And so, again, probably an extra 2 years got pushed back. I like to see that he still had anticipation for Utopia because that accident could have crushed a lot of people.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say he handled it extremely well. We know that video.
I did not handle it very well.
When I saw that video, all I thought to myself was, you couldn't stop doing drugs for like 2 days just to do a better video.
Yeah, it's heartbroken.
It was bad, but that's where I am at Utopia because I felt like it was coming. You know, I believed in it this time because in 2021, all the signs were there. Mafia, still one of my favorite songs from that year. Escape Plan actually has more plays than Mafia, which is surprising. Yeah. Has a whole video for it, you know. So it seems like there were things coming. There were things on the way. Let's talk about K-pop as a single because Travis Scott has had some really good singles in his past. Yeah. And that's part of, you know, his success is having really good singles as well as good album cuts. K-pop as a single, how did you feel about it outside of hearing the album? Now you've heard the album, you know where it kind of fits in the project. But before that, we talked about it a little bit last week. How did you feel about K-pop?
I thought it was very questionable. To start, I was like, wait, what? Because Travis Scott, up until this moment in time, and continues to be at this moment in time, was a psychedelic trap artist.
Yeah.
Right? So when he dropped a dancehall, not even dancehall, like almost Afro beats style of track with The Weeknd, I was like, what are we doing? Not in a good way or a bad way, but I was just confused as to where things were going. Like, I can understand him having Bad Bunny on a song, The Weeknd on a song. They've had songs in the past, very good songs in the past. But what is happening? Like, I was just confused. Like, I think confusion is probably the most clear emotion that I have. I was like, huh? What? You know, like when the question marks started popping up over somebody's head, that's what was happening to me when it came out.
Same with me. I was kind of, and that I've never heard a Travis Scott song like K-pop. There had no reference for that. This is not like, oh, he's getting to his 2014 bag. I don't know which bag that was. I didn't know which bag that was. So
you found it on the street.
Yeah, that was a new bag. So I was very confused because I said, okay, not only is this a new bag, I'm not really liking this new bag as much. So I was very confused. And you mentioned it before. He has done great with his singles and his Lucy's. I forgot about like the Lucy era Travis Scott, the SoundCloud era Travis Scott. He's always done a great job with the Lucy's. Now, after Astroworld, he had some Lucy's. Now, he was on Antisocial with Ed Sheeran, if you remember from that project. Highest in the Room was a Lucy that came after Astroworld. The Scots was a Lucy that came after Astroworld. Franchise with Young Thug and Future, another Lucy came after Astroworld. And then TKN, another Lucy that came after Astroworld. So he's kind of been killing it with the Lucy. So to see him kind of drop the ball with this single, my antennas were up. I was still confident just because it is Travis Scott. He has a lot of range, but I was definitely nervous.
Yeah, one of the things about Travis Scott where I was thinking about with our producer Chris was like, he is somehow still maintained relevance since 2018. I just like 2018 was like Cardi B dropped her only album. And like YBN, Namir, and Corday were a thing.
Wow, I see you know it's a throwback.
Okay,
they were still a YBN.
Yeah, YBN was still a thing in 2018. So that's how far like in the past we're talking about when it comes to modern, music. So I was just like, I'm stunned that he has maintained relevance. Like when you really think about YBN being a thing, right? To now, just kind of showed like the staying power of him, right? I mean, his style is everywhere now. It's I don't want to say ubiquitous, but it's kind of ubiquitous.
Right there,
and he's still a brilliant producer. And like you said, the Lucy thing that was happening. So he's still I think he was stringing people along. Just like, you can't really fully forget him.
Yes.
And now, so that's what I think that's kind of why he's maintained relevance. But it's still stunning to really think like, yo, Astroworld was 2018 and like we're still waiting on pins and needles, bro,
for the next
for Utopia to come out. So I just think it's like a little bit of testament to his popularity, but also his like fan base.
Yes.
That he is able to go away for 5 years and for Utopia to still be like a show-stopping album that we think is gonna go #1.
I think too, he has this kind of comfortability of where he is in his career, which people don't always have so early. Like this album 4 for him, which is kind of past that threshold of he's still trying to prove himself type of thing. But a lot of his Lucy's became huge songs.
Yeah.
Like this is any other artist, they'd be like, okay, time to put an album out. You know,
Yeah.
I think about Franchise over 200 million on Spotify. The Scots almost like 800 million on Spotify. And again, if this was any other artist, they would have said,
Yeah, time to capitalize.
Time to capitalize. So even what you said about him staying relevant, that is kind of showing him he knows he's here to stay. You know, he's not worried about, you know, kind of falling out of favor. He's like, they're gonna rock with me as long as I do what I do. So I like to see that confidence kind of in his career and the moves that he's making. Now, before we move on a little bit, I gotta go back to what your favorite Travis Scott song is.
Okay.
And this will tell me a lot about where we're going with this project, because you've been a fan of some questionable songs before from some great artists.
Right.
So let's see if the trend continues. I'll call my head that I'm not gonna say. But let's see if you choose from one of those.
Well, for anybody that is privy, the future conversations that Adriel and I have talking about the best future songs, where I'm talking about commas, and the March Madness, right?
Sure.
Et cetera, et cetera. Adriel's not a fan of my fandom, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
You can put it that way.
Not a fan of my fandom, even though we like the same artists. Some of them. I feel like we don't like all the same artists. I think for Travis Scott, my favorite song is No Bystander. Right?
Wow.
Yeah, No Bystanders, where I think it's Sway Lee that does the intro. It's like, no, it's Juice WRLD. You know, it's The Party Never Ends.
Yeah.
Right? I love that track. The intro, incredible. I like, the drop into Travis Scott. You know, it's very expansive. Still, Travis Scott actually rapping and it like making sense, which I feel like is a little bit of a rarity. And it still maintains that like the whoa, it's very, very, very much like a pillar. I feel like it's a pillar of Astroworld.
Wow. That is.
I feel like it's a pillar of Astroworld. Juice WRLD, Travis Scott, No Bystanders, because it's even got like it's got a lot of elements going on in it. So I think that's my number one Travis Scott song. Yeah,
I don't have any problems with that.
Okay.
I think that is an acceptable.
Yeah,
song.
because it's like kind of like a deep cut. Like,
if
I said sicko mode, you'd be looking at me like I had three heads.
No, Sicko Mode is an amazing song.
I actually think sicko mode is like not that good. I think sicko mode is like overrated, like big time. Actually,
I think maybe it's been played too much, but Sicko Mode is still an amazing song.
You know what I want from sicko mode, and I can't believe we're talking about Astro World.
Really,
but I want that first like part. They're and then Drake is like starting to rap, and then the beat switches. I still want that front part as like its own song. I want that. I don't.
Look at the things you're asking for. Look at the things you're asking.
I know that front part had its whole song that he probably like cut for the beat switch.
For sure.
I want that front part just as a song alone.
There's something there.
So that would, if we're saying favorite like parts or segments, that's like my number one segment is actually the front part with Drake.
Both of those are acceptable. I think No Bystanders, even though a lot of people try and recreate that energy, Sheck West, who's one of Travis' artists, has done some things similar to that. But it's hard to find a song that gives you that No Bystanders energy. So I think that's an acceptable answer. My favorite Travis Scott song, unfortunately, is not on streaming. And it comes from that Travis Scott Lucy era where if you were there, you know what I'm talking about. Serenade, probably still my favorite Travis Scott song. But I had no problem with No Bystanders as your favorite. Let's actually talk about this project because with Travis, there's so much to talk about. The album starting out with not showing any of the features. This is, I think, the second time in a row he's done this. I think there's going to be a thing going forward with him, it seems like. Are you a fan of this? Are you pro this? How do you feel about that?
I think it's brilliant, actually. I think if you're a huge artist, you should always do that, actually. Like if you're a Beyonce, I think Beyonce even did that on Lemonade, I think. If I remember.
I can't remember. I don't remember.
But if you're a Beyonce, no, Beyonce did the silent drop, but she had the features were visible. So if you're a Beyonce, you're a Jay-Z, you're a Nas, you're a Drake, a Kendrick, a Cole. If you're huge, even Taylor Swift should do this shit all the time. Never to tell who's featured on it. Just have all your tracks at the beginning. right? And then do the reveal.
Yes.
Right? I like the reveal because eventually I do want to know who is on the song.
Eventually. Like, first time we can...
First time you can let it rock because everybody's going to listen all the way through, so it actually doesn't even matter who's featured.
Yes.
Right? But 2 days, 3 days afterwards, you know, you want to know, oh, like, who was that on that part, or who's that weird voice and stuff like that. Like, this album has a bunch of, like, who is that weird voice? Like, there's the song Fiend with Playboi Carti. You know, the Fiend part, I'm like, oh yeah, that's Playboi Carti. But then Travis Scott raps for a little bit. And then I'm like, who the hell is that other voice? Yeah. And I was like, holy shit, that's Playboi Carti's real, regular voice.
Crazy. Yeah, and it's like, off the first listen, when you don't have the credits in there, you're definitely not thinking it's Playboi Carti because you recognize his voice somewhere else, so you assume this must be someone else. I think you're right that it is like genius. I think it really works for the artist like Travis. Now, not every A-list artist, not every legacy act is gonna have everyone listen all the way through regardless. Right. I think that is kind of a misconception, and why even artists like Beyonce don't always do this, because maybe their fans will listen, but there are the casuals who it's like, I want to see so-and-so work with so-and-so. Right. That's what I'm here for. Travis Scott fans have not really had that kind of fiending, you know, so to speak. It's more like, listen, whatever Travis gives us, we're here for. And I like that he does that. I think that really makes the first listen for all of us as a collective a listen where we're trying to listen for who's who, for what's what. You know, West Side Gun at the end of the project, you know who that is immediately. Yeah.
Well, like, here's an example, right? That clip of Academics going nuts when he heard Sicko Mode the first time would not exist if Travis Scott did not hide who was on the songs.
Exactly.
Because he was like, oh yeah, it's like, who is that? Drake! Stop! You know, and then he has like that huge moment. That moment would literally never exist if Travis Scott always showed who was featured. So there is a huge like element of surprise that comes with not showing who is featured on the album.
Especially he does a lot of beat switches in terms of his production. That's been a staple for him since Owl Pharaoh. So it's like those mixed with not knowing who's coming next. The first listen is like, you know, you talk about that Sicko Mode moment with Academics. I had a similar moment myself. Yeah. Where I listened to it and I was just like, is this who I think it is? And so you don't get that if he does that, like you said. What's your favorite feature on this? You got a lot to choose from. You got some of your boys on here, some of your actual boys. Yeah, some
of my actual boys, Playboi Carti, The Weeknd.
So what's your favorite feature on here? Where are you going with this?
I think it's tough. That one's tough. I've been thinking about that since I started listening to it. I think it's Playboi Carti.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And let me say that's a tough one because there's Playboi Carti, Tizo Touchdown.
Tizo kills it.
Tizo Touchdown doing serious work. SZA doing serious work. Beyonce did her thing too. Like, there's a lot of good things, but I think Playboi Carti, first of all, I think that Travis Scott's sound, right, this expansive intergalactic sound, psychedelic trap, which this entire album is mostly psychedelic trap music, translates super well to what Playboi Carti is doing, where it's like this almost like Castlevania meets trap music type of music. And I think that crossover is perfect, right? So when they meet on Fiend, it's kind of like a perfect overlap, you know? And I think that the worlds don't even collide. The worlds kind of just like meld together.
Yes.
And that, you know, Playboi Carti coming in, Fiend, right? It's very Playboi Carti, but then getting to hear his regular voice is weird as fuck. I thought that's like, it's so weird because we're so used to that high pitched, you know, version of him that I legitimately thought it was Lil Yachty.
Yeah, no, I thought it was someone else.
I thought it was Lil Yachty when I first listened to it. There's a couple of times where I thought, I'm like, oh, this is Lil Yachty.
At first, I thought it was Yeet because that's who I would want on that. And I was kind of having some wishful thinking there.
Yeah.
But it's crazy you said Fiend. Fiend is my answer too.
Oh, really?
So yeah, it's I don't have to say anything. You already covered all of it. Fiend is one of the big standouts for me from this project.
Is your favorite track or your favorite feature?
Favorite feature.
Okay.
Favorite track is probably I Know.
Okay.
Probably my favorite track.
Really?
But Fiend, Playboi Carti just absolutely kills that song. I think that's one song that like it is tailored to him in a sense, but he really comes through and delivers. You know, it's not something that he mailed in and really didn't put his heart into. The one thing I do want to say about the production on this project, because I've been hearing this a lot, and people are saying it's a lot of Kanye elements to it, a lot of very Kanye-ish. There are a few of those songs that give you Yeezus vibes. Modern Jam, we mentioned Tizo Touchdown. That's one of them. And then Circus Maximus. That
one's like, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, that one's like straight from Yeezus. 100%. I think this is a thing I realized with this album production-wise, because it was hard for me to highlight one song because this is a constant. A lot of the production on here are sounds that Travis Scott has never done before in terms of the production style. Like, especially the drum patterns or some of the tempos of these songs. I think of a song like Del Resto Echoes. There's no Travis Scott song like that in his catalog. I've never heard a Travis Scott song like that. Even Circus Maximus, Travis Scott has dipped his toe into the Yeezus bag before, but he has never gone as far as Circus Maximus in that sound. And so that's one thing I think that is throughout this project that makes this project, I guess, different to me than Astroworld, is that there are so many songs, even a song like Fiend. Yeah. Like, Travis Scott and Carti clearly have overlap. That's not a collaboration we're surprised by in a sense, but they don't have a Fiend. You know, this is the first time they've done a song like that. So that's something about the production that I thought was very interesting, is a lot of these songs aren't not necessarily groundbreaking production-wise as a whole in terms of what we've heard before, right. But for what he's done, they all are a little bit different.
Because even Echoes, or what is it? Del Resto, with Beyonce. That, I feel like what Travis Scott did with some of the collaborations is that he kind of went to the other people's world. I think a lot of times when somebody has Travis Scott featured on their music, Travis Scott is like, you know, he steps onto the planet and then like the sky, the sky changes, it opens up. The world's, the water starts going purple because it's Travis Scott's space, right? I think this is one of the first instances where you can be like, actually, he went to another person's place and like kind of like scoped out what was happening there. So like Del Resto, with Beyonce, I was like, oh, he kind of stepped into the Renaissance sphere, right? And kind of existed in there, allowed, that space to engulf him a little bit, right? It's more of like, if you really listen to it, it's more of a Beyonce song.
It's a Beyonce song. I was playing that song for someone.
Yeah.
And I literally said, Beyonce's new music? I didn't know that. And I said, no, this is Beyonce and Travis Scott, man.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah, basically a Beyonce song.
Yeah, it's basically a Beyonce song. He kind of like exists on the periphery of it, but she's doing like all the major singing in the middle of it. She does a little rapping in the middle of it. The production style is Renaissance style. So I think that is something that you get on Utopia, which is not really part of Travis Scott's music anywhere else.
No.
He is usually a person, he engulfs you.
Yeah.
Right? And you kind of have to figure out how to exist in the space. Whereas this time he's like, oh, let me leave the spells and the tricks behind. Let me go see what the other people are doing.
And especially you see that on his features. We were talking about features earlier. That's something he really does on his features. Like the songs that are just him, for the most part, are still Travis Scott songs.
Yeah.
There's a song like My Eyes, which really reminds me of something off of Blonde. And I think that like this had a space on there. And again, when I first heard it, I was like, is there a feature on here? Will there be a feature on here? Turned out it's just him. But that's something that Travis Scott has that it's very kind of hard to identify because he's not so different. You can squint and he can remind you of, choose your pick of this artist. But a lot of these songs, you talk about the Beyonce song. Yeah. What other trap rapper is making a Beyonce song? What other rapper is making a Yeezus Kanye song? And so like these are songs that only Travis Scott is making where it sounds, somewhat natural. Like it wasn't like this is a weird Beyonce song. It's like this is recent Beyonce from what she just did. So I think that's something he's always had in his bag, but this is the album where you see it the most. There's no album I've seen from Travis Scott where there's so much songs in here that are not traditional Travis Scott songs. Because there's probably like 6 or 7 here that's like, this is not a Travis Scott song. Yeah. It's like he's a feature on it, basically. He's doing his thing. The one song that to me really is a Travis Scott song that I'm happy that he had this on here is God's Country.
Yeah, I love that song.
Yeah, the production on that, he's such a unique ear, I think, production-wise. I think about the kids on that one. The la la.
Yeah, he makes it so eerie. It's like
so eerie, so like scary, a little bit dark.
Mhm.
And those drums are a very, very slow pace. You know, like there's no point when they really speed up. The hi-hats are there kind of setting the tempo, and the hi-hats kind of carry the tempo and the pace of the song throughout. But I think about, the use of the kids' voices being so eerie. He's not the first rapper to use kids' voices in a song. We've all heard Nas, I Know I Can, Lil Durk and J. Cole, that kids on the chorus as we speak.
Yeah.
Also kids, but a very different energy.
Yeah, exactly.
So I applauded for that because that's a song that, again, production-wise, we've heard similar things. It does fit, like you said, to that psychedelic trap sound.
Mhm.
But have you heard a beat like this all year? I can't think of anything like this. So just that is not sounding all the way different, but still unique in a sense. I think it's very cool.
Yeah, and I think that he's really, that's one thing about Travis Scott is that his sound is so super established, but there's always going to be nooks and crannies in it, like psychedelic music. I think we all, like, if somebody says psychedelic to you, we all think of like the swirl, right? And then
yeah,
right? But he's shown, like, obviously there's way different versions of like pulling apart psychedelia, right? And it can exist outside of even rock music, right? Because there's psychedelic rock music. So I think that him, like, with, even though it's like, okay, it's psychedelic trap, he is able to pull it in so many different ways that I just think a lot of people just don't have the vision. Like, could not do it.
They couldn't.
Maybe like the only person like is like maybe Kanye West, right? But beyond that, like, it really is Travis Scott, him and himself, and you can even see it in a reverse where you can see like other people, I feel like, pull him down. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, okay? Meltdown with Drake.
Oh.
You can tell that, like, right at the beginning, okay, where we're doing the tea time, right? It's very ominous, right? It's like these very ominous strings and stuff like that. And then when we actually get to the part where Drake is rapping, it's super duper simplistic. Just like, and then it's like those strings, those ominous strings. But that's it, right? Like, that's really it until we get to the end where Drake is talking about Wasp Gang.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that. We'll get to that later, where Drake is talking about Wasp Gang, and then you get the dun, 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 right? And then you get to the portion of Travis Scott. So that's where I'm like, if he pairs up with the wrong person, and I do kind of think for this song, that was the wrong pair up, it can strip away all of the, beautiful, swirling sounds and like the, the intergalactic, vocals, all that stuff gets stripped away just so Drake can be kind of like a straight man.
Yeah.
Right. So I think there is good and bad. And I think the Drake is bad. I don't think it's very good. I hate to break it to everybody.
I'm not going to go there with you. I just think it's more of a Drake song.
Right.
I think that.
But there's so many different versions of Drake though. Like, think about this. In Too Deep with Drake and Travis Scott.
Yeah.
That's where Drake went to the Travis world.
Him and Future, I think.
Sorry, Future,
yeah.
But that's where Drake went into a Travis trance, basically, right? Where he's on the outside and then he's like in Too Deep, and it sounds like he's the dude speaking into a club.
Yeah.
Right? This is like, he kind of just like stripped away all the walls and he's just like dancing on the platform by himself.
I think what Travis has in his music, and you see a lot on Utopia, is his music can be dramatic.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of fits that he has the movie out, Circus Maximus, but his music has always had that drama to it. And you talked about Meltdown, that transition when it's like, dun, 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 dun. Like, we hear plenty of songs that have a beat switch. Not everyone is putting that transition in between the beat switch to highlight it and make it more dramatic, because that is kind of the part where it's like you can't dance in the club. If this song was playing out, the second the happens, everyone has to kind of stop. And a lot of people don't want to put that in the music kind of for that reason. And Travis Scott, what he's done well is his music always has had that extra sense of drama to it, a little more dramatic. as well on this project, I think a lot of these songs are bigger than before. Since Travis Scott has toured last, and it was something we forget about, he is a touring monster. You know, Astroworld, he just ran it back, and you know, one of the biggest tours we've seen in years.
That's so kind of crazy. People just let that rock. He's like, yeah, you know, Astroworld, the thing where like people died. He's like, run it back, baby, run it again.
Well, he ran it back before people died, but it's you know, he's still Travis, and I think that since he stopped touring on that level, tours have grown. We see what Drake is doing, what Beyonce did, what Kendrick did, what The Weeknd is doing. So these songs are going to be played in the biggest arena, you know? And even a song like, you know, Utopia Twins.
Fiend is going to be massive.
No, Fiend is going to be the one, not the two. Fiend's going to be the one.
You know the mosh pits? Oh my God, for Fiend is going to be insanity.
And that's kind of my point is he's grown past those mosh pits. Those will still happen. Do not get it twisted. I think until the day Travis Scott dies, there will be moshing at his show. We will be in our mid-50s mosh pitting.
The wheelchair drill, you know, rolling off the wheelchair to the crowd.
Literally. But he's past that. His songs are going to be, again, stadium music. That's what this is about to be. So a song like, you know, The Utopia Twins, I think of as like a song that everyone collectively is just banging their head to. You know, that song is going to sound good whether you're sitting in the front or in the parking lot. And so that is something I see a lot from this project is these songs are definitely going to do well in the stadium. You know, playing them in the club or driving your car, they may not hit the same. But I think about this with Yeezus. Yeezus was the first time I saw Kanye live, and seeing that album live, I was like, oh, he's right. He's right. We're all stupid. He's actually right about that one.
Yeah, I think that this will also go crazy at a party too. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, songs like Fiend, Utopia Twins, I agree.
Schizo.
Schizo is gonna go crazy at a party, you know. Even like, so there's an element of Travis Scott's music where it's not just for you. Mm-hmm. It's for you and the crew, basically. Like everybody's showing up at the function. I'm actually making music for that. Mm-hmm. Right? So I think there is even an element of like him understanding, like, I don't make music for just like a singular person.
Yes.
I make music for 100 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people, right? So I think that still translates into this. I agree with you. I think it is bigger. Like even a song like Telekinesis, I could see on a large scale just because those vocals, man, like his vocals when he makes them carry, it's like, make it go so loud, right? I think those are perfect for those big settings because it almost feeds into like the echo that you hear in a stadium. So I think you're totally right. And I even think Telekinesis, even though it's a slower song, right? And SZA's on it and Future's on it, I think it is also part of that. Like at the end of a concert, you want to hear Telekinesis, it'd be sick.
I think what he's doing is putting himself in the range of people that I just named. Bad Bunny, Beyonce, The Weeknd, Drake, Kendrick. All of those artists are not just one-trick ponies in terms of how they sound. There are parts in the set where it's going up, you get a Crazy in Love or a Partition, it can go crazy. But there are times where it will slow down and you might get a halo. So Travis is putting himself in that group where he can give you a full arena show doesn't feel like only a rap show. Obviously, it's very hype, very turned up, but he's more on this project than he's ever had before to make it not just a rap show when you go see Travis Scott. Is there anything else you have for production? Because
what's your favorite?
We got some lyrics to get to.
Oh, we do? Oh, I'm surprised by it. I'm surprised. You know, sometimes you come in here and you're like, I don't have any lyrics.
Yes.
Right? So I'm surprised.
You never know.
All the artists that we have done reviews for, you're like, yes, Travis Scott.
It's only one section and it's a conduit to a different conversation. So don't get your hopes up.
Okay. I think I want to know what's your favorite like produced song, like the favorite production on a track here. Because I think we've been talking about basically all of the songs, but I'm like, which song is like, you know, I'm coming back to, I gotta hear this track one more time.
I do think it's I Know. I think
really
I Know has kind of an immersive feel with the beat. It reminds me of when people used to say Drake makes music to like drive at night too. I Know is a really good drive at night song.
Okay.
And so just for the immersive feel of that's probably my go-to just to hear the production.
Okay. I think for me, it's got to be, I actually really like Hyena which
Hyena is a good one.
I think Hyena. I don't know. It's kind of like is it a guitar? I don't even know what instrument that is. It sounds like a guitar.
Yeah. I would say.
Yeah, whatever. It's a string instrument, but it's like maybe a sitar, actually.
Maybe.
But yeah, I really love that sound. And then it's also kind of like a little bit of an 80s hip hop, like the drums, old school drums, right? So I think that combo does something to my brain chemistry, bro. Anytime I hear it, I'm like, yo, this is fire, right? I think Telekinesis is up there for me too. So yeah, those are the two for me.
I think Hyena could have been the single. I think about
you could have done that for a single.
I think about
oh, you know what? Yeah, which should have been the single? Usually ask me that.
Yeah. You know what? I kind of didn't ask because it's hard to choose.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of so Hyena could have been the single because I think about when he released Astroworld, he had this whole trailer for the project, and Stargazing was a song on the trailer, and basically everyone heard most of Stargazing, at least the first half of Stargazing. And it's crazy to think now. I think that trailer has like 20 million views. Like, how many artists have the trailer for their album have 20 million views? But it gave kind of an insight to what the album would sound like, which I think Hyena would do. But I think, in all honesty, and I'm not usually a fan of this, making one of the best songs the single, but I think Fiend.
Yeah, me too.
Fiend would have been the one.
That would have been a killer single.
I think if Fiend was the single, we would have been on a whole different wave.
Yes, we would be.
A whole different wave. Yeah.
We would be like, he's back.
Yeah.
That's what we'd be like, he's back. That's exactly what
one, not two.
Yeah, like not one, not two, not three, not four. Like Travis Scott is back. You hear that with the Playboi Carti feature too? That would be insanity.
Yeah.
So I do think that's a little bit of a miss. You know what? You know what happens with us usually when we have this conversation? We're like, oh, what should have been the single, blah, blah, blah. And then like a week later, they released their third single and we picked the single.
Yeah, yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if Fiend was that next single because that shit is so good. That Vamp plus Travis Scott is just insanity.
I wonder where he's going in terms of singles because God's Country, especially I love that song. I wouldn't have chose that song for a video. And so I wonder where he's headed because there's so many directions you can go in with this project. And I do think too, like a lot of people have heard the album as a whole, but I'm sure people most time are only heard if they haven't heard the album in full, they've only heard the Meltdown. Right. You know, so I think interested to see where he goes with this for lyrics.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep it very simple.
Okay.
Okay, very, very simple. We're highlighting Meltdown, song everyone's been talking about. Now Drake has some spicy lines in this, but I'm gonna talk about Travis's spicy lines.
Okay.
Now, if anyone doesn't know, him and A$AP Rocky have a little back and forth. A$AP Rocky dropped a song called Riot earlier, and he performed that maybe a few weeks ago at Rolling Loud. Had this line that says, "Took my style, so I took your bitch." Now, that's referring to Rihanna, of course. Travis Scott and Rihanna were rumored to be dating in 2013 when they were on tour together. A$AP Rocky and Rihanna are together right now. And there's always been this rumor going around that Travis is just taking A$AP style. There's actually a TikTok, I should find it and send it to you, where someone goes through every single style that Travis Scott has had and how it's a style A$AP did before. And it is a crazy video because it's like, even Travis's like different styles he's tried are all styles that A$AP has like, worn before. So very, very similar. And then someone reminded me that they even kind of rap similarly, just Travis is more of an auto-tune guy. And I said, you know what, you're right. If it wasn't for the auto-tune, there would be a lot there. And
you know what also feeds into this is like they look like each other.
And that's not a coincidence.
Even though that if we're all gonna be like, no, they don't look like it. The hairstyle makes them look very similar in their physical build. Yeah. Right? Is similar. And you've seen it, we've seen a million times social media videos, etc., where like one person will see the person and be like, they'll see A$AP Rocky and they'll be like, oh, it's Travis Scott.
Yeah, I know they hate that. There's actually an interview, and maybe we put this in here, when A$AP Rocky does Drink Champs, and he mentions it, and he basically says verbatim, he bit my style, he's copying me. Also on Drink Champs, shout out to Nori and EFN, Kanye said that Travis is a mix of himself, Kid Cudi, and A$AP Rocky, which I think is true. So there's a lot of Travis, a lot of influences. We're not gonna knock him for that. He's influenced by some great artists, but for the first time in a long time, he strikes back. And, on his verse, on Meltdown, he says, man, the club ain't been the same since we lost Mercedes. Man, the clique ain't been the same since they lost the greatest. We outside with the army, so you need the, Them boys rolling all brown like they whipping gravy. Make a circus outside like it's Barnum Bailey's. That very simple. Nothing crazy. We outside with the army, so you need the, we know Navy goes in there. Navy, Rihanna's crew, her fans, her kittens, as you would say. And that's a little shot right there. Yeah. I'm trying to see where this goes. I think if it comes down to like straight rapping, A$AP Rocky is a clear winner here. But Travis Scott is a creative genius, and to see someone like him in a rap battle, I'm just interested to see how that goes.
Yeah, me too. Because I would never pick him in a rap battle to win, literally over anybody. Actually,
I don't know. Maybe over French Montana.
Yeah, okay, maybe over French Montana,
but you're right. He's not one of the better rappers out here. I think even Gunna would have a good chance against Travis Scott, but he's very creative. He has shown that he's about the smoke. If you would look at it, Meltdown, people have called it Sicko Mode Part 2. It's Sicko Mode Part 2, even in the fact that they're taking shots at the other side on this song together. So I think Travis Scott may be with the smoke. I want to see how that goes down. A$AP Rocky is one of those artists who has a huge cult following, but it seems to be criminally underrated from the fans more than from the actual industry. So very excited to see how this goes. I'm speaking it into the universe. Hopefully on future sound bites, we're talking about Travis Scott versus A$AP Rocky. Braids on braids violence. I don't know who to choose in that sense. I'm a braid up boy. But I just want to see that because Travis Scott has been around a lot of talk, a lot of noise. When Sicko Mode came out and those shots were fired at Ye, Travis Scott was right there, straight up, right there with this. So now he can get into his own beef, and I just want to see where that goes.
Yeah, I think I would take A$AP in that beef, just even in like the beef, like
like in an actual fight.
In a fight is a toss up, but I just think A$AP Rocky is more fashion forward, obviously.
Yes.
Has two children or a child and another child on the way with Rihanna. Feel like he's winning. And then I would say that
this is a billionaire battle. I want you guys to know this is a billionaire battle.
But they're not the billionaires. Their significant others are the billionaires.
Listen, smart guys.
Yeah.
Smart guys. Marrying for love is so 1994.
It's like 2023. We're only marrying women with billions of dollars. Yeah, and I think rap style, like just straight rap in a rap battle. You remember, A$AP Rocky's first name's Rakim, bro.
Yeah, he's
so he's a little bit of part of rap royalty there. But I'll also say, here's an example where I'm like, Travis Scott lyrically lacking. Let's say. This is on Monster Jam, right? Which I think is not even probably.
Modern Jam.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Modern Jam. I don't say Monster Jam. Maybe it's the all caps confusing me. Modern Jam, where this is probably the worst song on the entire project, but because first of all, the drums kind of booty, but it also reminds me of, I think this is like Yeezus. It sounds very Yeezus to me, and he basically, everything is stripped back, right? But it's basically just Travis Scott, like, rapping, which I'm like, wow, I can't believe he's really just going for straight up rapping by himself. And then you get a verse like this is on verse 1, right? This shit punk. Put it on the Bible. I like a bi girl on a bicycle. Yep. Not bicycle, bicycle.
Yeah.
Then I bought a car. Now she feels entitled. What?
Before you go on, one of your boys helped produce on this.
Okay, I'm not saying okay, go ahead.
Guy Manuel, half of Daft Punk. So
I'm confused. I don't know how this happened because Daft Punk production legends, and that's not even like a light legend. That's legend, right? I don't know how he got roped into producing this because this song is butt cheeks.
I don't hate this song, man.
You don't hate this song?
I don't like his raps. That whole a bi girl on a bicycle, I think is like, and what's so funny? I always say this. when songs are more simple,
Yeah.
we think, oh, anybody can rap over this. It will be fine.
Mhm.
It will be okay. Travis Scott, give your ghostwriters a call. Tell
Yeah,
how
you
the
need
Prince,
somebody else, bro.
pick up the phone. Because I think this song could have been something good. I think this is a unique production style for a trap rapper. And had there been better raps on this, there was something there.
Yeah, probably. Because I think even the Tizo touchdown feature saves this song.
See, I'm telling you. And it's like, listen, you highlighted the little part there, the shit punk put it on the Bible. There was plenty to choose from on this song. Plenty to choose from.
Yeah, I wanted to keep it single.
You could start at the beginning where he goes, baby, please get off the gram. I like you better in the stands. I upgrade my only fam. It do or don't need a cam. Very, very elementary. This is not his best work as a rapper lyrically. So I don't have any argument for it. Travis is still my guy, but I can't defend these bars.
Yeah. Okay. So here's my question, and we'll talk about the Drake thing afterwards. But my question about Travis Scott, right? Because I've seen this discourse online, but I've also thought about this regardless. Does Travis Scott's lyrics matter at all? Do they matter? Like, does it matter what he says? Doesn't matter.
I wouldn't go as far to say it doesn't matter at all. I would say they're not the emphasis.
Okay.
I think he has had like, a little bit of that Kid Cudi quality where he is kind of speaking directly to people and saying things. But that's not the majority of what his music is. A lot of it is kind of just, this is my life filler type of stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't say it doesn't matter at all, but it's definitely not the emphasis. Like I just don't see you going into, a song being like, I can't wait to hear him speak on this. I don't think that's what you're going for with Travis Scott. But I do think there are, back to his ghostwriters, he's had a song like Coffee Bean.
You're right.
There's stuff he's saying on that song that's like, okay, listening for the lyrics in a sense. So it's not all the time, but he has moments. There are artists who don't have a single moment. He's not one of those, but not the emphasis for sure.
Yeah, so that's what I've been thinking about too, because I think I'm like, can you even remember like a really special Travis Scott lyric from Astroworld? Not really, right? Like there are some, but not super notable, right? You remember like the hooks or certain like vocal stylings that he does and stuff like that, but not really like, yo, this Travis verse is like fire. Like, not really.
Yeah, he's not that guy, I don't think. I do think he has memorable lines that like either you remember when you see it or it reminds you of something that line comes up.
Yeah.
But there's not a time when it's like we got to hear that verse from Travis. And he's not a punchline guy either.
Yeah.
I think it's more like, and this is part of, his style in a sense, and on Utopia you see it a bunch. Out of all the trap rappers, auto-tune-ish rappers, Travis Scott is one of the most clear vocally. Like, in terms of actually hearing what he's saying, like he actually enunciates in a way that a lot of these guys do not. And I think like that's part of why he's, I think, critiqued so much lyrically, because the actual performance vocally he's doing of enunciating so well is something that a rapper would do.
Yeah.
But these other guys who are also trap rappers, also using auto-tune, I'm not gonna go as far to say mumble rap, but definitely more muddy what they're saying. So I think that is what goes against him in this sense, because he is more, fits into the lane of the Lil Babies, Gunnas, Futures. That's more where he is lyrically, but he's, more clear than all those guys. And so I think that's part of why it's so easy to pick at his lyrics, because you don't need to speak the language of Travis Scott to understand what he's saying.
Yeah, when you kind of have to speak the language of a Young Thug or a Carti, which I also would say, especially Playboi Carti, lyrics don't matter. The lyrics do not matter in that situation. I would say, like, to your point, there are like some one-liners that Travis Scott really is going for him, is where he's like, I'm loyal, I still have Ye over Biden. That line is
crazy.
Yeah,
oh my god.
That line is like, how do I even describe? That line is like it's funny. But I don't know if you should ever be picking Ye over anybody at this point in time. Not in 2023.
Yeah, like
I just don't know. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's kosher. I don't know if that's kosher.
That's just more there for the shock value, similar to that line that Nicki had of "Make my ass great again."
Yeah,
you know. So yeah. It's more of that. He has a couple of Tom Brady lines.
Yeah,
saying you're more messy, I'm more Tom Brady.
Yeah,
or I never fucked with 12. Yeah, other than Tom Brady. He's not the game level name dropping, but Travis Scott definitely is a name dropper for sure. So I don't know. My thing with Travis Scott lyrically, and we can talk about the success of his career, is that you're right. I'm not listening for the lyrics. There's no way that I'm here being like, I can't wait to see where Travis Scott is at in his life. This is not Jay Electronica. I'm here for it.
Not Post Malone. He's not Post Malone.
He's not Post Malone. He's not Post Malone. But I think he does ride that middle line of like, you can't just totally disregard his lyrics. He may say something, you know what I'm saying? Like, there may be a straight line in there. There may be a bar in there. But there's no reason for you to really be diving deep into his lyrics. And similar to Drake, he has that quality where his words are so clear that you can just kind of get the lyrics just from listening passively. The lyrics will come to you. So
this is where Gunna wishes he was.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Where you think that I think Travis Scott, for a lot of people, because his production is the number one. It's the A1 of his music. But because if you actually listen to him like on his music, his vocalization is like auto-tuned, but it's not like super distorted.
Yeah.
Like you still think like, oh, that's what he sounds like in real life. So I think that he kind of gets caught up in this space where the production part of his music is the main part, but because you can hear his voice so clearly, you're like, there's probably like people who like listen to the lyrics and they're like, this guy's not talking about shit. And it's like, actually, well, it's not really.
It's not what it's for.
Yeah, it's not really what it's for. It's not really the point, right? So I think there's a little bit of that, like that crossover that I'm seeing on the timeline. Multiple versions of the timeline. TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, everywhere, right? Okay, let's do this quickly. Drake Wasgang. His line, Drake is basically after every, like, Drake and Kanye have the beef. Drake and Pusha T have beef. Drake and Pharrell have beef. Basically, that whole good music camp.
Yeah,
it's him versus them, right? Basically, he says, okay, here I'll start nearish to the middle, right? He talks about scared of the six, blah blah blah. Not really relevant. This part where he goes, hold on a second. Let me pause this. Where he goes, or come to the boy on some arrogant shit. The weapons we got are on some terrorist shit. Like TV producers, we go, grrr, we're airing this shit. She asking for bread for her parents and shit. Okay. I told her I ain't got no cash. Could wait on a rack on some Arabic shit. Right? I pull out $1 million, stare at the shit. My dick just got hard with a wire just hit. Okay. My schedule is out. Come spin us for real. Man, fuck all the spinning the narrative shit. I melt down with the chains. Sorry, I melt down the chains that I brought from your boss. Give a fuck about all the heritage shit. Since V not around, the members done hung up. The Louis, wait, hold on a second. The Louis, they not even wearing shit. That shit. Sorry. Don't come to the boy about repairing some shit. Don't come to the boy about sparing some shit. You lucky that Vogue was suing because I would have been with the Wasses in Paris and shit.
Cap.
You don't think so? You don't think?
I don't think I seen that video. You seen the video?
You don't think Drake and Wasgang is showing up to?
You seen that video?
Which one?
Them in Paris with the Wasgang. Yeah. What? Drake's not a part of that. He might have been in Paris.
Drake and Wasgang and not showing up? You don't?
No, Wasgang is showing up, but you don't think Drake won't be with him.
Oh, okay.
Drake is at a hotel saying, "Text me when y'all finish."
Yeah,
but go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, Drake versus Pharrell now, is like a real deal thing allegedly.
I don't think that's real.
And he's out here taking shots, melted, because he actually owns some of like Pharrell's like old jewelry.
Yeah,
and allegedly, I'm saying allegedly because I don't know if Drake actually did this.
I don't think he did.
melted it down to form other rings. Drake is a collector of like rap memorabilia though. Legit though.
Yeah.
So he has like one of Tupac's rings. He allegedly had like one of Pusha T's like microphones, and he has the Pharrell's jewelry. He does have that. So allegedly melted it down because he fucking hates Pharrell for whatever reason.
he's more saying he would melt it down.
Would possibly, but
I don't think he's gonna do that.
I don't think he's gonna do it.
And I don't think there's real beef with him and Pharrell. I think this is like, Pharrell standing next to the wrong guy.
Yeah.
And him and Virgil were actually really, really close. That's been documented. So I think it's more like we're Team Virgil. Mm-hmm. You're rocking with that guy.
Yeah.
Because I've been thinking about this a lot because the Travis and ASAP beef, someone who I thought could be good on some of these songs was Skepta.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking, ASAP definitely getting Skepta out of him and Travis. Yeah. So it's something like that where it's like, if Virgil was still the guy at Louis, does Pusha T get to walk with Louis? Probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
So I think this is just one of those. What I do like is that Drake is really hopping on these features to get violent.
Yeah, for some reason he's choosing to use other people's songs to pop off. What's going on here?
Yeah, that's what I like to see. I like that energy because I think that Drake has been at the top for so long and has been someone people feel so comfortable shooting at. Mm-hmm. And I think that's not a normal thing. I think, of course, Drake's light skinned. We love to shoot at the light skins. He's Canadian. He's Drake, but that's not normal.
Yeah.
We don't hear comedians taking shots at Dave Chappelle every other interview. That's just not a thing that happens. So this makes sense. He's kind of like defending his crown in a sense, and doing what he's doing.
And it's in his way too. It's very subliminal. It was not even super subliminal, but like very low key, petty. Not gonna release a full diss track, but I will do half a verse about how much I dislike you.
Yeah, and I think he's still hurt. That's clear. He's still hurt by whatever happened with him and Pusha T.
Yeah.
That hurt, that wound, I think, will
I don't think that's ever going to heal because, again, it changed his life.
And I'll say this, too, which is totally a side point.
Yeah.
Drake's songs that he put out were better than Pusha T's song.
Yeah, the songs were better, but the raps were not as good.
No, his raps were good in those songs. Like I think Pusha T revealing what he revealed was the whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone is rapping Story of Adidon right now and can give you any bars from that. So it's like Drake in his sense did what he was supposed to do. Like he came correct. He put his bars out. He responded, and still lost the battle. So
hey man, that's what happens when you show up to you're a street fight wearing a 3-piece suit, bro. And the other guy's wearing street clothes. Like that's not gonna work out for you.
Let's move through this next bit quickly. In terms of how this affects his career, Travis Scott is an established artist.
He's back, baby.
This is his fourth project. This solidifies him even more. I do think this is going to take him into that Bad Bunny, Weeknd, Beyonce group, and I think that this is going to I guess it solidifies him as being a step above his contemporaries. Like I think over this past 5 years, Lil Baby has blown up more than he had ever before. Someone like Gunna has had his kind of best success of his career. Travis Scott is going to really establish himself as like, I'm up here, you guys are a full step below. So that's what I think this album really cements for him.
Yeah, he's definitely A tier artist. No. Or I think even at Astroworld, I think he was maybe like an A- tier. People were like, this is huge now. But is it always going to be huge?
I think the time off and the tragedy probably hurt that.
Yes. And now with Utopia, we're like, he's huge.
Yep.
He's A tier, A tier. I don't know if he's A+. That's what like the A+ or S tier when we're talking about the Beyonce, Taylor Swift, Drake.
He's getting there.
Of the world. But he is definitely A tier. And it's like the Michael Jackson or Michael Jordan facts where it just said on the sheet of paper, I'm back. Right. That's what I think this is for Travis Scott. And I think it's going to be, onwards and upwards from here. I think that it was a little bit of a flex to have all the features. He has 1 million features on his work. But yeah, I think also the splits on this is going to be insane. He probably makes $0 off this. After all the promo, like all the money, because you go into artists typically go in debt to produce their album and then they make it back, when it's released. He's probably coming out as like a wash.
I disagree.
You think so? I think the amount of people that are on it and then the quality of people. He has Drake and Beyonce on it, bro.
He's on Epic Sony. I don't know how many artists on Epic Sony are
Right.
bigger than Travis Scott, but he probably got us a lump sum straight,
Mhm.
regardless of
Okay,
sales.
we'll
Kind of like the deal Drake's has had. Drake has had deals where it's like 30 million for the album
yeah.
before it even comes out. Travis Scott
Okay, well, maybe.
got to be getting one of those. The one thing I will say is that he definitely has established himself as like one of the cool kids in the industry. And I think about all the rappers who were wearing like the Utopia chains.
Yeah.
2 years ago, Young Thug, Chris Brown, DJ Mustard.
Mhm.
And it's like how many artists you see wearing like another rapper's album on their neck that's not signed to them, not their artist. None of the guys Young Thug, these guys are not on the album. So it's like you're not even on the project and you're wearing his chain. A lot of other artists wearing the Travis Scott shoes. I'm not seeing any other rappers really in the Drake shoes, but the Travis Scotts are clearly a collector's item. You got to have them. Cool to wear them. And I think what is going to happen for him is he's stepping into that spot that Kanye used to fill, ASAP thought he would fill, that like still a rapper, but more in the creative artist side. He's filling that spot. You know, I think that there's the big three, there's a bunch of legacy acts, but he's making his case for stepping into that next level. Let's talk about the cover, because this cover really, it feels like Rodeo Remix.
Yeah, it does.
You hated it though. Tell me about your hate for it, because
Did I say I hated it? What did I
you
say?
said you didn't like it.
I said didn't like and hate are two different things. I do think it's not very good.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the previous one, Astroworld, sick,
Yes.
right? And then there was the alternate version, what was that night?
Yeah.
Lit, right? Then we got Birds in the Trap, right? Awesome,
Yeah.
right? Rodeo was cool too, where he was like the action figure on top of the truck. That was cool, right? This one, it's like, first of all, we can't even fully see him, which I guess is kind of the point.
Yeah.
But I think that when you think Utopia, thinking lots of colors.
Yes.
Thinking maybe some trees, psychedelic too, probably in Utopia. And this was like almost the inverse.
Very dark.
Which is maybe what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
But I personally...
you got your own ideas.
Yeah, but personally, I am not a fan.
Yeah.
So I don't love the cover as much. What about you?
I think it's probably the worst of his covers of his 4 projects.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I think that's...
You said I hate it. This guy's jumping off the top rope.
He has 3 really good covers. That doesn't make it horrible, you know? Just the worst of what he's had before. Also, I haven't seen the movie. You know, I haven't seen Circus Maximus as well. I got to see how this fits into whatever he's doing for a tour. And maybe there's a bigger plan here. Who knows? But I think it's a good cover, but not a great cover. In terms of the vinyl, clearly we're Travis Scott fans. Yeah. We have the Travis Scott vinyl here for all our people listening on YouTube. But is this going to be one you're adding to the collection?
I don't think so. I think it's maybe it's closer to borderline, but I don't think so. First of all, I don't really like the cover. Second of all, I'm like, some of the songs, I think I already talked about Modern Gem.
Yeah.
And also it's hella long.
Yeah, over an hour.
It's an hour and 17 minutes, 19 songs. What the fuck? When I was listening to, I think every time I listen to the album, like all the way through, I get to Schizo and I'm like, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
And then it still keeps going for another half an hour. So that's a little bit of an issue for me overall. And I probably won't be getting it on vinyl. Probably.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be getting it either. I think that, again, it's for the right price. I also have Astroworld on vinyl. Yeah. And so it's a lot to live up to, you know, following those 2 vinyls. I do think there are songs on here that may grow on you. And maybe that's something that the vinyl can help with. Like you just have a song playing and you're like, okay, I don't hate the song as much as I did 2 months ago. Yeah. But off rip, this is not going to be a cop for me. Let's get right into the nitty gritty because we want to hear where you're at with the score for this.
All right. I'm at a 7.5 out of 10. I think it's good. I think the production, awesome. His raps, not so awesome. To put it lightly. I think the features are kind of like, they're good, but like none of them like were mind-blowingly amazing. Like I think the Playboi Carti one is really, really good. SZA's really good. But Drake is a low light for me. Maybe I didn't make that clear, but Drake is a low light on this project for me.
Wow, 2 projects in a row where you don't like Drake's part on it.
Yeah. I think he's in a nadir a little bit of his features.
Wow.
I think the West Side Gun feature is like,
Mm-hmm.
The Weeknd, I think The Weeknd is like not a very good, like, I think he's a feature. It's like sometimes.
We mentioned this before. I think people don't use him properly.
Yeah, I just don't think, but production, phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal production. The cohesion is a little bit dicey. I think that, but then we have like the great features of like, Playboi Carti, Tizo, Touchdown, Beyoncé is really good. And I think that he does a good job of going to other people's worlds, right? But still being his own artist, right? So it's a 7.5. Monster hit on it, not really. Fiend, but they didn't promote it properly.
Yet to be seen.
Huh?
Yet to be seen.
Yet to be seen. It could be the 3rd single, like we're predicting it to be.
Yeah.
What about you?
Travis Scott, Utopia is gonna be an 8 for me.
Okay. Wow.
I really wanted to give it an 8.5, but it is just too damn long.
Yeah. Outrageously long.
Yeah, an hour and 13 minutes. Like there's just no way. I think this may be one of the best produced albums of the year so far.
Yeah, probably.
I do think there may be a hit on here that we're not guessing, because we've talked about Fiend, it feels like 411 times.
Yeah.
About that should be the single, that's going to be the hit. It could be a song we're not even mentioning at all.
Yeah.
And so I'm open to that, but
Fiend is giving me massive vibes.
Yeah, yes.
It's giving me massive vibes. Yes. Everybody was talking about other songs. I'm like, are you guys listening though? Like,
nah, Fiend is the one. Fiend is the one. I think that this is a good, kind of re-entry from him back into the zeitgeist, back into our lives. And I think that this project is going to kind of age well as a timepiece. I think that this will be one where everyone kind of really remembers when he came back. Yeah. Like, okay, this was Utopia time. My favorite songs from this project were, and it will be memorable for that. So for me, it's an 8. I had potential for 8.5, but you can't make the album an hour and 13 minutes. Like there's absolutely no reason for that. Yeah. Please let us know in the comments, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, what do you think this album is? Are you with us? 7.5, 8, good album. I saw a lot of Travis Scott hate on the timeline. A lot of hate on the timeline. So please let us know. Make sure you follow us on all the interwebs: Twitter at Album Mode Pod, TikTok at Album Mode Pod, Instagram at Album Mode Pod. If you want to see us go up those podcast rankings, leave us a rating and a review, 5 stars, not a single star less. Make sure you're subscribed on all your podcast platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts. All our people over on YouTube, make sure you go ahead and like this video, share this video, give us your comments, and of course, subscribe. And until next time, know yourself, know your worth.
Later, people.